Can I tell you something that is still controversial in the real estate world? I don't cold call, and I'm doing great. My business is doing fine. In fact, I cold called for like 2 weeks. And for that year, or the 2 weeks out of the year I did cold call, I literally made $13,000 that year. And when I stopped doing all of the cheesy, traditional salesy things that worked maybe 25 years ago, 30 years ago, the cold calling, the door knocking, the mailers, the Popeyes, the open houses, all those things, when I stopped doing those, that's when I actually started making money. And the funny thing is that like when I started cold calling, I had like watched all these like master classes and downloaded all these scripts, and I had these books of scripts, and I was like, this is perfect. I have memorized these. I've tabbed them. When they say this, I'm going to say that. I'm overcoming all these objections. It's going to be great. I'm going to start dialing. I'm going to dial for dollars, right? I'm going to get 10 no's before I get a yes. I'm ready for it. People are going to be an asshole to me. I'm totally ready for it. I can do this. I'm strong. And I told my mentor at the time, I had a mentor at the first brokerage I was at, and I was like, yeah, I'm starting this week. I'm going to start cold calling. I have everything ready. I'm like going to start right now. And she's like, yeah, I don't do that. And I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean you don't do that? This is how you build a business. That's what everyone says. This is how you build a business. And if you're not cold calling, this is how you get listings. And if you're not cold calling, then like you have no business. And she's like, yeah, I don't like it when people cold call me. And so I'm not going to do that to other people. And in my mind, I was just like, well, I guess you don't want it bad enough. And this is an agent. She'd been an agent for like 25, 30 years, and I was like, I have the secret and you are missing out. Let me share all my knowledge with you. She was like, yeah, good luck with that. Good luck with that. And so I started that day. And I started cold calling, and it was miserable. It was so much more miserable than I thought it was going to be, though. And I did it for literally 2 weeks, and I'm just like, I just cannot keep doing this. This is draining the life out of me. I haven't gotten anything out of it. And I know that you have to stay consistent at something for more than 2 weeks if you want to see any results. But at the same time, this was one of those instances where I was learning that there's a difference between something feeling uncomfortable because you're new at it and you've just never done it before, and it feeling uncomfortable because it's not right for you. And I still have a hard time going back and forth between those things and distinguishing which one feels uncomfortable just because it's new for me and it's foreign. And wait, does it feel uncomfortable because this is just not the right thing for me? And that was one of those things that was really easy to figure out, though. I was like, this is uncomfortable because it's not right for me. And so in this episode today, I want to ask you a question. What if everything that you've been taught about lead gen in the real estate industry is actually keeping you from the clients that you really want? What if everything that you've been taught about, like, this is how you're going to get the clients, this is how you're going to make the money, the opposite is true. It's keeping you from the clients that you actually want to work with. So here is the story that they tell us. You have to cold call to succeed. Rejection builds character. It's a numbers game. You have to get through 10 no's before you hear a yes. That's all old school, like sales strategy. That's old school traditional sales. And that's not how real estate has to be. And here's why I'm calling BS on this. Cold calling worked like 20 years ago when no one had caller ID and people were excited to pick up the phone and they actually liked talking to people. And now it's like, I don't want to talk to anyone on the phone. I can see who's calling. I can look at my phone and see who's calling. And if I don't know you, I'm not answering the phone. Or if you're one of those people that just keeps calling and calling and calling and calling, and I still don't pick up, now I'm really not answering. Now you're just annoying me. Today, it just makes you look desperate, and it makes you look outdated. It makes you look like you're the one out there begging for business, that people aren't banging down your door because you're so awesome. You're just like scrambling and scraping. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to get a client. I'm going to call anyone with a pulse. I'm going to call any alive human being and see if they'll work with me. And the thing is that high-end clients, and for the record, I don't think I said this in my last episode, I have focused on building my business mostly by serving high-end clients who are in a price range that's above average, not the tippy top. Like, I live in Austin, Texas, and the tippy top of the price range is literally like $25 million. I'm not serving those people. I don't want to. Those people are way more high maintenance than what I want to deal with. I'm talking about serving people who are like above the average. So my ideal price point right now is like between 700,000 to like 1.2 million. Those are the folks that I like to help. I don't like helping the 25 million and I don't like helping the 250,000. So when I'm talking about our business strategy, I'm talking about serving higher end clients, meaning higher than the average. And usually those high end clients are not responding to cold calls because they already know an agent. They already know several agents. They know people who know agents. And there's no reason in the world that they would respond to or work with someone who is cold calling them, you know? And really all you're doing is you are like interrupting someone's day. You're already starting off on the bad foot. You're interrupting their day. They don't know you. You're asking something of them. You're not helping them. You're a net negative. You're not a net positive. You know, you're not giving them something. You're not helping them in any way. You are asking them something and you're taking up their time. And so already you have all these obstacles to overcome before they start seeing you in a positive light. So let me ask you this when we're talking about cold calling and building our business as real estate agents. When is the last time you hired someone who cold called you? And when exactly is the last time? So when we build our business, like we are small business owners, we are the CEOs and we are professionals. We're building our business the same way that attorneys are, that doctors are, that physical therapists are. Like we are small business owners. We just happen to sell houses. And so there's no reason that we need to build our business in some weird, strange, mysterious way that no one else is. Real estate is just another business. And so when we build our businesses, we need to think about like, okay, we are service providers. I'm a professional service provider. So is my attorney. So is my dentist. So is my dermatologist. We all should be building our businesses the same way. My dermatologist is not cold calling people around town, anyone who has skin, right? Saying like, hey, do you have any moles you need to get checked out? When are you finally going to let a professional check your moles out and make sure you don't have skin cancer? You know, there's a really high risk. You live in Texas. The sun's always out. You could have skin cancer and you don't even know it. That's not happening. Dermatologists and dentists and attorneys and cardiologists are not cold calling people like that. And we shouldn't be either if we're trying to build a real professional business and we're trying to attract quality clients and high-end clients. So somehow we have convinced ourselves in the real estate world that like annoying people is going to get them to work with us, or that building our business in a very unprofessional way is going to get us high quality clients. It's not. Like, spoiler alert, it's just not. So here's your permission slip. You don't have to do anything that feels gross to you. Full stop. So, you know, I was talking about like there's a difference between uncomfortable because it's new and uncomfortable because it feels gross to you. Start really kind of learning how to differentiate between those two. And the things that feel gross to you, you don't have to do them. Just because someone else built their business that way and someone who, number one, maybe has never sold real estate a day in their life is telling you to build your business that way, or someone who built their like legacy 25 years ago is telling you to build your business that way, try it. I'm not saying don't try it. But if it feels gross to you, you don't have to do it. That is a big permission slip that I'm giving you today. So what cold calling is actually doing to your business, it's a handful of things. One, it's damaging your reputation. So now you start becoming known as like that annoying agent who won't stop calling. So you're calling multiple times a day, you're leaving voicemails, you're sending texts, you're doing all the things. They need you to take a hint. If they haven't returned any of your contacts, they are not interested. And you have to stop calling, you know? My husband and I, so I am a real estate agent. I'm a broker. I own my own brokerage. My husband and I also own a Muay Thai gym in Austin. And whenever people call and text the gym, it comes straight to his phone. He has like a Google number. So it comes straight to his phone and he gets people who are cold calling him, like selling their services to him. And they just call like 4 times in a row. And don't leave a message. And they call the next day 4 times in a row, you know? And it's like, hey, I'm very busy. I'm a very busy business owner. I'm a very busy person. Say what you need to say and I will figure out if I want to call you back or not. But it's like classic old school traditional sales of like, just keep calling, call 3 times in a row, and hopefully they'll pick up because they think it's urgent. And these like cheesy salesy tactics are not how you're going to attract high-end clients. You know, high-end clients are not going to be pleased that you called them 3 times in a row, making them think it's an emergency. And you're going to ask them like, yeah, when are you thinking about moving? When are you thinking about selling your house? And they're like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I thought this was something important. No, we're not discussing this right now. Goodbye. So the first thing that you're doing is damaging your reputation and setting yourself up with like many things that you need to overcome before you even think about getting this person as a client. Before they even entertain the possibility of hiring you, you've already got all these things that you have to overcome because you put yourself in a bad spot. So the other thing that it does is it attracts the wrong clients. So we talked about like high-end clients are usually not going to respond very positively to cold calling. Guess who is? Not high-end clients, not your dream clients, people who don't know real estate agents, or people who recognize that like, oh, you're cold calling, you need business. I'm going to negotiate the shit out of you. I'm going to nickel and dime you. You work for me now. I'm going to text you at midnight. I'm in demand that we see 20 houses. And then I'm going to just decide like, you know what? I think I'm just going to keep renting, because they don't respect you, you know? So the clients that you're attracting, they don't value you. They don't see you as an expert. They don't respect your time. They probably are looking in the bottom barrel of the price range anyway, and may or may not even be able to buy, you know, or to sell. So you're not even like targeting high-end clients with your cold calling. And I don't even mean that in terms of like price. I mean that in terms of like quality of clients, a human that you'd want to spend your time with. Those are not usually the people that are going to respond to your cold calling. You are also draining your energy. So spending 2 hours a day just getting rejected by people back to back, instead of spending 2 hours a day building relationships, helping people, having a positive impact on the community, that is so draining. Like spending the 2 hours a day arguing with people, getting rejected, getting told how annoying you are, how dumb you are, how you're a scumbag. Not fun. Not great for your energy, not great for your like battery and for your soul. Like it's so much more exhausting than if you had spent those 2 hours having coffee with people, building relationships, even like creating content to help people with things, you know? Those are going to fill your cup so much more than just like arguing with people, overcoming objections, doing all those things. And then you position yourself, like we talked about, as someone who like is begging for business. When you're cold calling, that's literally what you're telling people. And so they're like, great, this person is desperate. I'm going to nickel and dime them for everything that they're worth. And then we may or may not even have a deal at the end of the day. So here is what to do instead. If you're like, yeah, you're right, cold calling does suck, I'm tired of doing it, but how do I build a business without doing it? Because that's all anyone is saying. That's all people are saying is like, cool, when you become an agent, learn your scripts, sit down, get on the phones from 9 to 5. I know when I first became an agent, I interviewed with a bunch of brokerages in Austin, and one of them was like, yeah, you know, we will guarantee that you're going to make $75,000 your first year as an agent. And I'm just like, I'm not that slow. How exactly are you doing that? Tell me a little bit more. They're like, yeah, you're going to come in. We're going to get you on the phones from 9 to 5. Basically, you are like the first line of defense. You're the person that's overcoming all the objections, and you're the appointment setter for the actual agent who's going to do that transaction and take the commission. And so you are working on volume. And that is what the old school traditional sales model is you're just straight working on volume. You're working on quantity and not quality. So you are just trying to set as many appointments as possible. And if that agent actually gets to go on the appointment, if that lead shows up, if they end up doing the listing agreement, if they sell the house, then you get a portion of that agent's commission. And so you can imagine how many phone calls you have to make to go through every single step of that process and get a portion of that commission in order for you to make $75,000 a year. And they were literally like, yeah, you'll come in and you'll be on the phones from 9 to 5 and you'll be making your calls. So we're going to guarantee you make $75,000 a year. I'm just like, I'm not doing that. I for sure am not doing that. I just left a corporate job where I was on the phones and I talked to people for 13 years. I'm not going from one shitty job to another. That's 100% not happening. And so the money sounded great. And I was like, oh, cool. That's almost what I was making at my corporate gig. I could just transition into this. And I'm like, I'm not going to be an employee at a shittier job than I was just at. No, that's not what we're doing here. So, but I understand the trap that a lot of agents fall into is like, yeah, totally. I hate cold calling too, but what else am I supposed to do to build my business? So we're going to talk about that in a second. This is what I call this the feel-good formula. So this is the feel-good formula to building a business without cold calling and without buying leads. First, I focus on relationships. So I build genuine friendships, genuine relationships, period, the end. Nothing is fake. Nothing is scripted. Nothing is inauthentic. I spend my time with people that I like spending my time with, and I share. The next part is I share content that actually helps them. And when I say share content, I mean that in a general sense. So yes, when we think traditional content of like Instagram, YouTube, podcasts, like what we're doing here, but I'm also talking about when I have conversations with people, like as I'm building relationships, the topics that I talk about, the news that I share with them, the content that I share with them, I'm sharing it with them. I'm adding value. I'm adding something to their life, not just like cold calling and, hey, what do you think about buying or selling? I'm sharing valuable information that they actually want. And the thing is, this is going to vary person by person. So I'm friends with, Rachel, who loves to see musicals. Wouldn't it be rad if I got her tickets to Moulin Rouge when it comes to town? Versus I'm friends with Jeremiah, who loves to go see the soccer games that are in Austin. I can talk to him about soccer and get him tickets to the soccer game. You know what I mean? So like adding value to people is specific based on what they like, what's interesting to them, not just what you want to talk about. And you want to talk about the real estate market and they don't give one shit about it. That's not going to help you win people over or build a relationship with them, So the other thing that I do, this is part of the feel-good formula, is I am myself. So I let my personality shine through in everything that I do. I am real. I'm authentic. I have genuine interests. I have things that I like. I have things that I don't like. And I talk about them. And I talk about them almost intentionally to be polarizing. I want people to know who I am. Like in these videos, you can see I have tattoos. I built my real estate business mostly from YouTube. And I wanted people to know exactly who I was so they can decide if they were in or if they were out. I want people to know up front, who am I? What do I stand for? How do I run my business? So they can decide right away, are they in or are they out? And the people that are out never reach out to me, which is great. Like I don't have to hear it. I don't have to argue with them. I don't have to overcome objections. They never reach out to me. They reach out to another person who is more their vibe, which is fine. But the people who see me and hear me and see me being my real authentic self and are in, I'm talking about like attracting and repelling. The people I'm attracting are in, they already know that they want to work with me. And the people who I'm repelling, they already know that they don't. And they just go to someone else, which is totally fine because I don't have time to work with everyone anyway. There's no possible way I could serve everyone in the Austin, Texas area, even if I wanted to. And so why don't I spend my limited amount of time helping people that are already interested in working with me, right? Who already know who I am and have already opted in. And fourth, I am patient. So I am willing to plant seeds and wait for them to grow. I'm not looking to get a client in the next hour, the next day, the next week, because I know that that's not how real business works. That's not how you build a real business. It's not like, oh, cool, I'm in a cold call for 8 hours today. I'm going to get 4 clients out of it. And the next month, I'm going to make $32,000 because of the actions that I took today. The actions that we take today are going to pay off in 90 days. They're not going to pay off in the next 2 weeks. They're not going to pay off in the next 30 days. They're going to take at least 90 days to pay off. And being in that mentality, understanding that helps you stay focused, helps you stay on track, helps you do the long-term things that will help you grow like a sustainable business, not one that is just like putting out fires every day and like so urgent and so emergent that you're like literally burning yourself out and driving yourself crazy. We're in this for the long haul, And so recognizing that any business takes time to grow and we have to have patience to grow it makes you a smart business owner. When you start expecting to be a millionaire your first year as a real estate agent, that is not realistic. And the action that you're going to take trying to achieve that is going to burn you out. And you're going to be so disappointed when that doesn't happen. This takes time. A real business takes time. Anything, surely you have heard the term easy come, easy go. This is exactly what that means. Anything that comes easy goes easy. So anything that you do where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a millionaire now. In a week, it could be gone. This is like what happened with crypto. So people were like, oh my gosh, wow, all of a sudden I'm a millionaire. And then crypto just tanked and everyone lost all their shit. So easy come, easy go. It's the same with business. Something that takes longer to build is going to take you longer to lose also. So I'm more about let's take it longer to build a long-term sustainable business. So here is a quick example of like being myself, the stuff that I talk about with people, my content, being polarizing, and just being there to help people. I mentioned my husband and I own a Muay Thai gym. You're going to hear me talk about that more just throughout the episodes. And there was this guy that had just moved down from Canada and was talking to me. He said he used to be an agent in Canada and was asking me about the market. And, he said his uncle is like an investor, a developer, and may have some properties to sell. And I'm just like, oh, that's right. If y'all have any questions, I'm here. I'm happy to, help you out with anything. I know you're new to the area, blah, blah, blah. So we talked about real estate a few times. And then one day he DM'd me and he was like, hey, can you call me? I have a question about real estate. I was like, yeah, sure. So I called him and I just thought, he wanted to just ask some general questions. And he told me like, hey, we have a bunch of investment properties. We've been doing fix and flips. We're ready to sell them all. Do you want to sell them for us? And I'm just like, yeah, yeah, I do. That would be awesome. He's like, this is what he said. He's like, I see the way that you and Dave is my husband. He's like, I see the way that you and Dave run the gym. And I want to work with you. We had another agent. They'd been working with another agent who was doing it for 1%. And I told them like, I don't do that. That's not going to happen. He's like, yeah, I know. But I want to work with you. I like the way that you guys do business. How can we make this work? That is what I'm talking about. Being yourself. Talking to people about the market, talking to people about the things that they're interested in, and being polarizing, being 100% who you are so people can already opt in or opt out, and then being patient, being patient and not expecting like, someone talks to you today about real estate. Next week, they're gonna be like, oh, hey, can you sell my house for me? Can you help me buy a house? Oh, I have a friend, blah, blah, blah. It's like, we're planting seeds here. We're planting an orchard. We're planting an orchard that's going to grow for years and years. I'm not like planting a seed today and waiting to pick an apple tomorrow. That's just not going to happen. So here are some key mindset shifts that helped me really recognize what space I'm in and what is important as I'm growing my business. So I want to share them with you. First, stop chasing and start giving people a reason to chase you. Stop chasing other people and instead give them something for them to reach out to you, right? That means you have to be yourself. That means you have to give people things to grasp onto. If you're just like this blank piece of paper of a human being, but really you love turtles and you love cooking and you have 3 kids and you're from Venezuela, anyone who loves turtles is going to be like, oh, me too. Anyone who's from Venezuela is going to be like, oh my gosh, me too. I like this person. Like give people something to latch onto. Be a human, like be your real self, be a human being. Give people something to like chase you for. Also, focusing on quality over quantity. I would rather have 5 people who are serious about buying or selling and know they already like me and want to work with me. I'd rather have 5 people reach out to me than me having to chase 50 people who I don't even know if they want to buy or sell. I don't even know if they like me. I don't even know if they're serious, if they want to work with me. I'd rather have those 5 than those 50. I'd rather have those 5 who I know respect me, know that I know what I'm talking about, want my knowledge and my wisdom and my advice that I can give them, versus the 50 who don't know who I am, don't respect my time, will be texting me at midnight, will be sending me a list of like 30 listings that they want to see and then just be like, oh, you know what, never mind, we're just going to rent anyway. I don't want that. I want 5 awesome clients, not 50 bullshit leads. Also, trust your gut. So we talked about this before. Trust your gut, and when something feels off, it probably is. You know, I've been trying to tap into my intuition a lot more because I've realized that like every time I feel something and I don't listen to it, it comes back to bite me. It may take 5 years, it may take 10 years, but it's always going to come back. And I'm like, oh, I knew that. I knew that was going to happen. So start trying to tap into that and trusting your gut and try and feel the difference between something is uncomfortable because it's new or it's uncomfortable because it's just not right for you. And last, your authentic self is enough. The right people will love you exactly for who you are. And I mean this like also just in your life, for your friends, for your partners, for your family, for all those things. Like your authentic self is enough. You don't need to be anymore. That's not to say that we don't need to be continuously improving as business owners, as humans, as agents, all those things. Like we need to keep doing that. We always need to be evolving and growing. But I'm saying you don't need to be someone else. You know, you don't need to be a different person. You need to be 100% yourself. And that's how you're going to attract the people who just like love you, want to work with you, think you're awesome already. Don't wish that you were someone else. So here are a few permission slips that I'm giving you today. You don't have to follow someone else's playbook. You don't have to follow this like perfectly scripted, buttoned up plan that just feels gross to you in your gut. You don't have to do business in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable. You literally can, I call it the feel-good formula for a reason. You literally can do business in a way that feels good. You literally can make multiple 6 figures a year as a real estate agent and work with people that you enjoy spending time with. You don't have to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Uncomfortable in that this isn't for me way, not uncomfortable in a like, oh, this is new way, right? And your success doesn't have to come at the cost of your integrity or your character. You shouldn't have to be someone else. You shouldn't have to bend on your integrity. You shouldn't have to bend on your boundaries. You have to set them and then you have to honor them. And working with someone or doing anything that makes you question, like, this just doesn't feel right. I don't feel like a good person doing that. You don't have to do it. So those are the 3 permission slips that I have for you. And if you're thinking like, okay, but what do I do instead? Like, you're right. Cold calling sucks. I don't want to do anything that makes me feel uncomfortable. What do I do instead? I've got you covered. I have this awesome bundle of like resources and guides and all the things to help you build a business without cold calling, without buying leads, without doing any of the cheesy things. So there's a link to it under here, whether you're on the podcast or you're on the YouTube video, wherever you're at, grab it. It's like super affordable. It's packed with all kinds of resources and guides to help you like step by step, day to day. What am I supposed to do? So check that out. And until the next episode, please take care of yourself. Remember that you're human. Give yourself some grace. Be kind to yourself. And I will see you in the next episode.